Mark, what a pleasure to be on with you. I suppose in a format that we've grown quite accustomed to with space rocks. Uplink has become our way of reaching the world, talking to them about where, I guess space exploration and culture intersect. But as I guess a very special conversation for Amelia and MajorTim Space, we should probably go back to the very beginning. What is space rocks and how did it come about?
It seems like a long time ago, doesn't it? I mean, today I have behind me here backdrop. This is the O2, the Indigo at the O2, just about a year ago, where we had our last physical in-person event. Loads of people came together to hear about space, to hear about music, about art, about the inspiration that space can bring across many sectors. And that really is what Space Rocks is about. And you and I have had these feelings for years separately and came together in the sort of the Rosetta Maelstrom, everything that was happening there back between 2014 and 16. And yeah, I think we talked about it for a while. We thought we batted ideas back and forward. We had to fight through, some red tape and paperwork, but finally came together in the O2 in the spring of 2018 for the first event. And as I say, it seems like a long time ago, but on the other hand, it seems right there. It's right in the front of my memory. What a great day that was.
Indeed, it felt like a triumph because it felt like a lot of people agreed with us. That there's a deep connection between science and art and music and all of those things. And when you bring it all together, you create new and wonderful things. And I suppose, in the case of the name Space Rocks, I mean this has something to do with Tim Peake and his time in orbit.
Yeah, so Space Rocks was actually used as a hashtag on Twitter for a number of years before you and I met, and it was used for astronauts on orbit, Tim Peake, but others as well, who were listening to music while, fortunate enough to be in the International Space Station, which is, at its 20th anniversary now of occupancy. But many astronauts have been there and they work hard. They've got a lot of stuff to do scientifically and maintenance-wise, engineering-wise, but they have free time and they get to look out of the cupola and down at the planet Earth. And many of them choose to do that with music. So that's where the hashtag Space Rocks came from. Many musicians provided music, provided messages to the astronauts. But for us, of course, it's a bit broader than that because it's that musical angle. It's also, in some way, a reference to meteorites and asteroids, rocks coming from space, but also the idea that, space is a thing that rocks, that it's a thing that can bring people together. And I think, you and I have discussed this many times, that, space rocks seems like it's all about space, but it's more, for me, and you, I know, about what you just said. It's about the melding of cultures, about science coming together with art, coming together with inspiration. Space is a focal point for that, but there are many areas in STEM and STEAM where those things blend.
Indeed. And so we talked a lot about space rocks, I suppose up here, the Zoom background. But what about this? It might surprise people to know that you don't do space rocks full time. So
yeah, well, with Uplink, of course, over the last few months, it's been a very regular thing in a sense. So more or less, seems like it's been on average once a week, although we've let that kind of get that down to around once every couple of weeks over the summer. But indeed, I'm the senior advisor for science and exploration at the European Space Agency. And that sounds like a very grand kind of title, but effectively it means that I have this role advising the directors for science, Günther Hasinger, who's been a guest on Uplink, which are the missions, if you like, looking out, studying the sun, studying the planet, studying the rest of the universe. And then human and robotic exploration, Dave Parker is the other director at the European Space Agency I work with. And that's about the astronauts, but it's also about the moon and about Mars and sending robots. There may be humans back to the moon soon and maybe Mars in the longer term. But a lot of this is outfacing. A lot of this it's talking to the scientific community. It's talking to delegates and stakeholders, people that actually bring the money into the European Space Agency. But I think for me, the biggest reward is coming to talk to the general public. It's communicating to the people that pay for everything that we do on one hand, but also are inspired by the things that we can achieve when we bring these 22 countries in the European Space Agency, plus others who have other different status, collaborating with agencies around the world NASA, obviously, but also the Japanese, the Indians, the Chinese, and the Russians, and more, to prove and show what you can do as one human race, if you like, when you put your mind to solving huge challenges. And this is a lesson that we have to learn as humankind in general. It's not all about space and going out there. It's about the planet Earth and how we can actually make it a more habitable, a better place for more of the population, not just for a small minority who happen to live in comfortable situations.
Yeah, indeed. Well, I suppose that's one of the most interesting things about ESA, is just that it brings so many people together, because, when we talk about space exploration, we're not just talking about one or two people doing this. The scale of the teams required to do these things is absolutely enormous, right? I mean, like, let's talk about Bepi Colombo, for instance, the current mission to Mercury, just did a slingshot around Venus. I mean, how many people are involved in the project team for a project like that?
Well, different phases, different numbers. Of course, when you're building it, there are literally thousands of people involved in industry, putting the hardware together, but then people in ESA working on mission operations. How do we get, as you said, do you fly past Venus, and which date do you do that? And do you come back to Venus and do it again? Bepi Colombo's had 2 flybys this year, one at Earth and one at Venus. It comes back for another one at Venus. And this is all to get to Mercury. Seems crazy, but you need big teams of people to sit down and work out how to do that. How do you plan the science operations? How do you which instruments do you turn on when, and what do you point to? How do you then reduce and analyze the data and make sense of them and publish it? And even behind that, of course, there's a huge structure of people that provide administrative support, legal support, all of the functions of a big agency. So, certainly thousands. But I think, you raised that point. That's really important to us, is that sometimes it comes down to one astronaut taking a picture out of the window, but who are the thousands of people that stand behind that? And because it's the general public that's paid for it, everything stands on top of, of their support as well. So it's utterly important that we turn around and let people know what we're doing. But I will say that what Space Rocks has done for me has opened my eyes to the way people in different fields, in the arts, but in the general public, think about what we do. And it's influenced how I think about my job on a day-to-day basis. And I think, and that feedback is incredibly important. It's not a one-way thing. It's not just about communicating to the public and other fields. It's about them communicating and informing us and making us a better space agency.
Indeed. Well, it's a wonderful reaction, as we know, in the history of science. Cross-pollination, happy coincidences are sometimes the stuff that yields the greatest results. And I think Space Rocks is a fantastic example of one of those very happy collisions of things. And we couldn't do it without our friends. And so I guess we're very grateful to Amelia and her wonderful work on MajorTim.space for helping us get the word out there. And well, Amelia, we wish you the very best.
Thank you, Amelia. We'll see you at a live event soon enough, I'm sure.
Very good.